Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Welcome to Congregation Beit Tikva. And it's nice to have a minyan here this evening. We're going to read Torah in a little while. Let's begin with some wonderful music. We're starting with the Nigun, with the help of Wendy and Alma and Jolene.
The words are la la la, it's a wordless prayer.
So please turn in your Siddurim to page 643. On 643, towards the top of the page, you'll see the words are Gesher Tsar Ma'od. The entire world is but a narrow bridge. The most important thing is not to be afraid. A famous phrase from one of the Hasidic masters of the early 1800s. Gesher Tsar Ma'od. Haolam kulo gesher tsar meod, gesher tsar meod, gesher tsar meod. Kol haolam kulo gesher tsar meod, gesher tsar meod. V'ha'ika, v'ha'ika. Lo lefachet kla behaika, behaika, lo lefachet kla. Kol haolam kulo gesher tsar meod, gesher tsar meod, gesher tsar meod. Kol haolam kulo gesher tsar meod, gesher tsar meod. Behaika, lo lefachet, lo lefachet kla. Behaika, behaika, lo lefachet kla. Let's turn towards the beginning of the prayer book, towards we come to the blessing over the Shabbat candles. So everyone at home, please light your candles with us, and we'll sing together. First we'll read the meditation on page 121, and then we'll sing the candle blessing. Hadlakat HaNerot. We're in the middle of 121. A source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushah Anu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlikner shel Shabbat. Let's read together on 126, page 126. I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics or services, but I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illumine all of us and to bring that vision to life. So let's lift up our voices as we do every Shabbat. We have 6 welcoming psalms, Kabbalat Shabbat psalms, that we recite for Friday evening service, and we begin with Psalm 95, L'chun Ranana. It's on page 130, 130. Bottom of the page. Come, let us sing joyously to Adonai. Raise a shout for our rock and deliverer. Let us come into God's presence with praise. Let us raise a shout for God in song. For Adonai is a great God, the great ruler of all divine beings. In God's hand are the depths of the earth. The peaks of the mountains are God's. God's is the sea, God made it, and the land which God's hands fashioned. Come, let us bow down and kneel, bend the knee before Adonai, our Maker. For Adonai is our God, and we are the people God tends, the flock in God's care. Oh, if you would but heed God's charge this day. Let's read together, top of page 133 from Psalm 97. Adonai is sovereign, let the earth exult, the many islands rejoice. Dense clouds are around God. Righteousness and justice are the base of God's throne. O you who love Adonai, hate evil. God guards the lives of God's loyal ones, saving them from the hand of the wicked. Light is sown for the righteous, radiance for the upright. O you righteous, rejoice in Adonai and acclaim God's holy name. So, let's read a portion of Psalm 29, which is the 6th Psalm and is the epitome or the paradigm of speaking about God as the sovereign of the universe, the sovereign not only of the Jewish people, but of all the universe. So all of these Psalms are about praising God as the creator of the universe and creator of human life and all the gifts of life that we receive. So let's read together on page 136. A Psalm of David. Ascribe to Adonai, O divine beings. Ascribe to Adonai glory and strength. Ascribe to Adonai the glory of God's name. Bow down to Adonai, majestic in holiness. The voice of Adonai is over the waters. The God of glory thunders. Adonai over the mighty waters. The voice of Adonai is power. The voice of Adonai is majesty. The voice of Adonai breaks cedars. Adonai shatters the cedars of Lebanon. God makes Lebanon skip like a calf, Syrian like a young wild ox. So we lift our voices together and we're going to sing Lecha Dodi, one of the most beautiful and traditional melodies for Erev Shabbat, for the Kabbalat Shabbat service, page 138. Please rise, singing the last verse. Bo'wi v'shalom ateret ba'alam gam v'simcha So we jump forward to the Chatzi Kaddish, which is the marker which tells us that we have completed the welcoming psalms and we're entering into the essential blessings, the two blessings before the Shema Yisrael. We're on page 144 and we'll all sing together. Yitkadal v'yitkadal Shemei Rabbah v'yamad yivrachutei v'amlit malchutei v'chayechon u'vyomechon u'chayei b'chol Beit Yisrael Agala, Agala u'bizman kariv v'imru Amen. Shmei Rabba Mevora, Le'olam Me'al Maya, Yiparach, Yiparach, V'yishtabach, Yipar V'yitramam Yitnaseh, V'yitadach, V'yitaleh, V'yitalau, Shemei Kedusha, Richu. Lela min kol birchata v'shirata tushmechata v'nehemata damiran v'yama v'imru Let's turn the page, please, and we sing together the Baruch Hu, the call to worship on 146. Baruch Hu et Adonai Amborach, Baruch Adonai Amborach, Leolam Haed. Reading together the first blessing, page 148. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are a creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night, distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzvaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on the evening. Baruch atah Adonai, Amariv Aravim. Together, the second blessing, thanking God for the gift of Torah. Everlasting love you offer your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai, our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Together we sing the Shema Yisrael. Please turn the page. We're on 152. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod, Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Let's all be seated, please. So we continue with the beautiful words from Deuteronomy Chapter 6. We're on page 154. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol lebavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha. Ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha u'b'lechtecha v'aderech u'b'shachbecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha u'ktabtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha l'man tizkaru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai tem kedoshim le'lohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti etchem be'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'elohim ani Adonai Elohechem emet. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand, and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai your God. Adonai Elohechem emet. On 157, standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before we ever stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness. that there's no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Let's sing together the words of Mi Chamocha. The text is on page 158. This is from Exodus, the famous Song of the Sea, Moses, Miriam, and Aaron crossing through the Reed Sea with all the Jewish people. Mi Chamocha Ba'eli Madonna, Mi Chamocha Medaba Kodesh, Nora Tehilot, O Sevele, Nora Tehilot, O Sevele, Malchutecha, Ovanecha, Okeyam, Livnei Moshe Miriam, Zeli, Anu Yamru, Adonai Imloch, Adonai Imloch, Leolam Ha'ed. So the next blessing in our prayer book is called the Hashkey Veiner, asking God as we lay down to sleep at night to shelter us, to protect us under the divine wings. We have a beautiful duet by Alma and Wendy, so listen to the music and enjoy the prayer. We're on 161. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, aporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. So we'll turn the page. We're going to sing this Shabbat evening, Yismechu, those who keep the Sabbath and call it a delight. This is in the middle of page 162. Shabbat, Let's continue now with the tefillah, the 7 blessings that are essential to this Shabbat service. We begin on 164. If you're able, stand up and join us. We always start off with the verse from Psalms, Adonai Sifatai Tiftach, and then we'll continue on 166 with the first blessing. Adonai Sifatai Tiftach, Uvi Agite Latecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor HaNorah, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chasdei Avot B'Ma'ot, U'mevei Gulam L'bnei Bneihem, L'man Shemo Yahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Bezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol Rab Le'Hoshia, Mechayeh Chaim Le'Chesed, Mechayeh HaKol Le'Rachamim Rabim, Shomech Noflim Merovech Cholim, Umazir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Ishenei Afar, Nicham Mocha Al Gevurot, Umedom Elah, Melech Memi, Umechayeh, Umasmiach Yeshua, Ne'eman atah l'chayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. The third blessing in the middle of page 170. Let's read together in the English. You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. We can all be seated now, thank you. Continuing with the blessing over Shabbat on 173. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. We continue on 175. Ever-present one, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer, wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands. You are our God, whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch atah Adonai, shodcha levadcha, b'yirah na'avot. Continuing with the blessing of thanksgiving, in the middle of 177. When we behold your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars that you set in place, what are we humans that you are mindful of us? We mortals that you take note of us. You made us little less than divine. Glory and majesty. You gave us dominion over your handiwork, laying the world at your feet. How majestic is your name throughout the earth. Baruch atah Adonai, Hatov Shimcha, Ulecha na'eh lehodot. So we conclude the tefillah with a blessing of peace, Shalom Rav. We're on page 178.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech Adon lekol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech Adon lekol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov b'necha libarech et amcha Yisrael b'kol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
Let's take a few moments for our own personal prayers.
May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you. Be acceptable to you. For my rock and my redeemer, Lord, my rock and
So we're going to read from Torah this evening for Shabbat, And if you will kindly turn to page 362 in your Siddur, in your prayer book, we will begin the Torah service. Dirk, you'll help me with the Torah. Please rise. In kamocha Elohim Adonai, ben kemasecha, malchutecha malchut kol amim, umemshaltecha bechol dor v'ador. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai imloch, le'olam va'ed. Adonai oz le'amo yitem, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Aharavim Beit Tikva v'yizona ezion Ivnei Tomo Yerushalayim Tivnei Tomo Yerushalayim Kivecha levad bataknu melech hamviritza Adon olamim. We're on top of 364. Ki mitzion tetzei Torah, Ki mitzion tetzei Torah, ulevar Adonai Yerushalayim.
In this scroll is the secret of our people's life from Sinai until now. Its teaching is love and justice, goodness and hope. Freedom is its gift to all who treasure it.
On 366, together. Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah. Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah. Le'amo Yisrael b'kedushato. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Gadlu l'Adonai iti u'neromama shemo yachdav. Lecha Adonai hallelujah Hagavura Yamiferet V'yanyechatnao Kikol hashamayim v'aretz Kikol hashamayim Adonai Malaka Yamin Aseh L'tov L'rosh. Let's all be seated. Okay. So we're in the midst of an incredible story, which is the story of two brothers who have been separated, alienated from themselves, from each other, I should say, for some 22 years. And now, after a long, difficult and rancorous separation, Jacob and Esau will face up to one another again. This Torah portion called Vayishlach, the opening verb which means to send out or to send forth. Jacob sends forth messengers to reach out to his brother, so to speak. He's trying to discern what will happen when he finally encounters his brother Esau. And the rabbis say that if you want to understand what it means to go into battle, to face a very difficult foe, you should study this Torah portion. Because what Jacob does is, he does three things. He protects his family, he implores God to protect him, he asks the Almighty to watch over him and take care of him in this tense encounter, and finally he shows, so to speak, his humility. He bends the knee, so to speak, and he sends an extraordinary number of precious gifts to his brother to try and appease him, to try and mollify his angry feelings. So that's just the beginning. As you know, there's many other stories embedded in this Torah portion, one of which is that Jacob wrestles with an angel or a man at the Jabbok River, and thus Jacob, as you know, becomes known as Yisrael, the man who struggled with God and survived. And thus, we Jewish people are known as Yisrael. But Jacob and Israel become interchangeable in terms of referring to that personality for the rest of the book of Genesis. I want to give you a drash about one amazing sentence that happens when Jacob sees his brother, okay? It's a paradox, so to speak. It's almost like, how could this really be? Jacob finally is dealing with his brother, and he realizes that his brother's not going to kill him. He's, so to speak, astounded that his brother is mollified by all of his entreaties. And it raises a greater dilemma, because the dilemma is, how do we stand in the presence of the divine? How do you and I as human beings actually, so to literally and figuratively, stand up in the presence of God? What do I mean? Jacob says to his brother, as he's giving him all of these wonderful gifts, he says to Esau, to see your face is like seeing the face of God, and you have received me favorably. So whoever says to see your face is like seeing the face of God. I don't think any one of us have ever quite said that to another human being. But that's exactly what Jacob says to Esau. To see your face is like seeing the face of God. In fact, it's such a remarkable statement, such a remarkable comment, that the rabbis are very nervous about how to explain it over the centuries. Because to say that when we encounter another human being, it's like a revelation from the divine, does that make sense? So here's how some of the great sages explained it. Saadia was the chief rabbi of the Babylonian Jewish community in the 900s, said it means that he had a vision of someone who was extraordinarily prominent. He stepped away from the whole idea of God. A little bit later on, Ibn Ezra, at the end of the 1200s, said that Jacob didn't really mean to say, I see God when I look at you. He really meant to say, I see an angel, a messenger from God. And then 100 years later, the famous Rabbi Kempchi from France said the following, that Jacob mentioning seeing an angel was meant to intimidate Esau. In other words, when he saw him from afar, he didn't exactly look at his brother. He was thinking about the angels from above who were going to protect him, because he remembered that God said that God would protect him no matter what. And these angels were, so to speak, like the celestial choir standing up there for him. So you can see that all of these great thinkers had a little bit of anxiety or trepidation trying to explain, what does it mean to see your face is like seeing God? I think maybe we can look at it in a very down-to-earth manner. Jacob brings a lot of gifts, right? He's going to implore and beg and kind of be obsequious to his brother. He wants to placate his brother. And that's what people do. You know, sometimes when we've made a terrible mistake, the best way to come back to someone we care about is with a little something in our hands. To offer, whether, sometimes when you have an argument at home, it's not a bad idea to bring some flowers home to one's loved one, right? Or something else that she or he may enjoy. So what the rabbis, I think, are trying to tell us is that when we see that other person, and it's an extremely difficult encounter, we have to bring our best self to the meeting. We have to imagine that just because we've been angry or hurt or disappointed, whatever it is that's happened over the years, we're not there to judge. We're there to be present. We're there to offer, so to speak, our higher self to the one we love, or a friend, or even a business partner. We're trying to, so to speak, offer a gift to the divine. It doesn't mean we're looking at God, because we're certainly not looking at God. But we can remind ourselves that even Esau was made in the image of God, right? He might have been characterized as the bad guy, but he's created in the image of God just as Jacob was. And it's important, I think, to think about that encounter as two creations, two souls made in the image of God who finally realized what the other person, what the other brother was really all about. And that way, all of their rancor and all the anger and all the hurt of the last years could be put aside. And it was, because we know at the end of that very quick meeting, what happens? Jacob falls on he literally falls over on his brother's neck and kisses him on the neck. And the rabbis say, maybe it was a kiss, maybe it was a bite. There was so much emotion going on there, we're not sure exactly how he embraced him. But he embraced him with love. And sometimes that love sort of overflows with extreme emotion. So to see your face is like this, is to see this face of God means bring your best self to that moment when you have to talk to someone again. So I'd like to ask Norma and Tom to come up for the Aliyah today, for this Shabbat. I'm going to read from the opening verses, chapter 32, starting with verse 4. Jacob sends messengers before him to his brother Esau.
Baruch Hu Adonai Hamborah,
Baruch Adonai Hamborach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam, Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Vayishlach Yaakov malachim lefanav, and Jacob sent forth messengers before him, El Esav, to Esau, Achiv, his brother, Artza Seir, in the land of Seir, Sedei Edom, in the fields of Edom. Vitzavotam lemor, and he commanded them, saying, he's talking to his messengers, Kotumrun ladoni le'esav, thus you shall speak unto my master Esau. It's a strange way of addressing his brother. Ko amar abdecha Yaakov, thus your servant Jacob says. He's literally bending his knee before his brother because he is so nervous. Im Lavan Garti, I lived with Laban for many years. V'achar ad ata, and from that point on until now, Vayihi li shor v'chamor tzon v'eved v'shivcha, and I have, or I now possess, oxen and donkeys and flocks and male servants and female servants, v'eshlecha lahagid ladoni, and thus I send them forth to tell you, literally, to to my master, meaning to my brother, Limso chen be'enecha, that I shall gain favor in your sight. Yeshuvu malachim el Yaakov lemor, and the messengers returned to Jacob and said, Banu el achicha, we went to your brother El Esau, to Esau, v'gam haloch likratcha, and we came close to him. In other words, we approached him to deal with him. Ra'arba me'od ish imo, and there are 400 men, meaning soldiers, with him. V'yira Yaakov me'od, Jacob was terribly afraid, v'yetzer lo, and distressed. Yachatz et ha'am asher ito v'tatzon v'tabakar v'hagimalim, and he divided up the people that were with him, and also the flocks and the herds and the camels into two camps, lishnei machanot. V'yomer im yavu esav el hamachaneh hachad, if in fact Esau approaches or attacks the first camp, v'hikahu, and strikes it, hits it, v'hinei hamachaneh hanishar lifleita, behold, there will be this camp that will be a remnant that will survive. V'yomer Yaakov Elohei Avi, and now Jacob speaks, God of my fathers Abraham ve'Elohei Avi Yitzhak, and the God of my father Isaac, Adonai HaOmer Eli, the Holy One who spoke unto me, Shuv l'artzecha l'moladecha etiva, thus you shall return to your homeland and to your kindred, and I shall be good for you. In other words, God has promised, he's reminding himself of the promise God made to him. Amcha katonti mekol chasadim mekol ha'emet. But I am not worthy of all this righteousness, all this mercy, and all this truth. Asher asita, that you, God, have given to me, et abdecha, meaning I, your servant. Ki b'makli avarti et Yarden, with my staff I crossed over the Jordan. Hazeh, and v'ata hayiti lishnei machanot, and I divided my camp into two camps. In other words, he's preparing for this ultimate moment.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah temet, v'kayei olam natan b'tachenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Bishop Koch. So let's think of our loved ones and all of our friends and family members who need a special blessing during these difficult months and moments of dealing with illness and so forth. We're going to the prayer for healing. It's on page 371 in your prayer book, on 371. I want to mention a few dear souls and friends of ours, specifically for Refuah Shlema, Eliodoro Herrera, father of our cantor Ephraim. Also Arlene Vinnick and Doreen Hertig and Lynn Kelly, all members of our congregation, as well as Flo Vinnick and Helen Fine. And I also would like to ask Misha Baruch for Curtis Stevenson and Ruth Ellen Lynch, dear friends of Lela. We have any other names you want to mention tonight, please? Dirk.
Avery Wassner, Lowell Hawkins, and Bill Jacob.
Mishra Soloway.
Mishra Soloway, thank you. Ted?
Jordan Brenner.
Jordan Brenner? Okay, thank you. Okay, so look in the middle of page 371. Misha Berach Abotenu, Mekor Habracha Le'imotenu. address the Torah. Please rise in honor of the Torah. Bizod Torah Shes HaMoshe Ibnei Bnei Yisrael Al Pi Adonai B'Yashem. We're on page 374. Odo aleres v'shamayim v'yarem kerem le'amo v'ilalecho hasida li'vnei Yisrael am kerovo. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Etayini v'matazikim ba v'tomechea me'usham v'rachecha darchei noam v'kol nezivoteha shalom. Hashkey Veiner Adonai elecha v'nashuva Hadesh Hadesh Yameinu Hadesh Yameinu Yekedem. Let's all be seated, please. Thank you. Special thanks to Alma and Wendy and Jolene for our beautiful music tonight. Also to Lela for recording this service, which you'll see on your computers. This coming week, after Shabbat, as you know, we are coming to Hanukkah. Thursday night, first night of Hanukkah. We're going to live stream a short service here in the sanctuary, lighting the candles, singing some great tunes, saying the blessings for the first night of Hanukkah. You can tune in and you'll get a message to watch that with us. And it'll also be posted the next morning if you would like to watch it on that Friday. And then for Shabbat Hanukkah, which is next Friday evening, we will also be recording the service. Our cantor Ephraim will be singing for that service, so we'll have more wonderful Hanukkah music. Any other special messages for this week? Oh, yeah, Torah study Saturday morning at 9:30. If you need Hanukkah candles, or if you can't find your menorah, we have lots of candles here for everyone and a few menorahs. Please call the office before you come over. The best time to come over is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday during the middle of the day. Lela will be here, I'll be here, but please call us first so that we know you're coming over. No charge for Hanukkah candles. Menorahs are at the going rate of gold, which was $18.32 this morning per ounce. Ours are made out of brass. Okay, any other things? So let's conclude our service. We had a beautiful service. I hope you've enjoyed being with us. You can find us on BeitTikvaSantaFe.org every day of the week, and also take a look on YouTube and you'll see our classes and other previous Shabbat services that we recorded in the past 3 months. We're singing together the Aleinu, the adoration prayer on page 586. Please rise for the adoration. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'teku lo l'yotzer breshit, shelo asanu l'goyei haratzon, l'lo samanu l'mishkot adama, shelo samanu kahem, v'yor aleinu v'kol amonam, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, l'ifnei melech, malkei hamlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'ne'ema v'haya Adonai, l'melech ol kol haaretz, bayom mahu, yiyeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad. Let's read together on 593 before we come to the Kaddish. Page 593, the middle of the page. The light of life is a finite flame. Like Shabbat candles, life is kindled, it burns, it glows. But soon it fades, its substance is consumed, and it is no more. In light we see, in light we are seen. The flames dance and our light burns down in gutters. There is an end to the flames. We see no more and are no more seen. Yet we do not despair, for we are more than a memory, slowly fading into the darkness. With our lives we give life. Something of us can never die. We move in the eternal cycle of darkness and death, light and life. This Shabbat we recall beloved members of our family and family members of our congregants. On this yahrzeit Shabbat we remember Robert Berman, the father of Bill Berman, Philip Brenner, father-in-law of Eleanor Brenner, and Valley Duno, mother of Carlos Duno. We also remember Ruth Epstein, mother of Louise Epstein. So please join me for the Kaddish prayer, the concluding Kaddish Atum, as it is known, page 598. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, v'yamad yivrach chirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon, v'chayedecho Beit Yisrael, v'agala b'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mavarach, v'olam omei amaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach, yitbahar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'tadar, v'talev, v'talal, shemei kudsha brichu, Lela min kol birchata b'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechemata, amiran b'yoma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav, u'yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. May the source of life bring us peace, bring peace to all of us, to the land of Israel, and we say together, Amen. So the Kiddush, the sanctification of the Sabbath day, page 123. Page 123 in your prayer books. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech Asher Kedishonu b'mitzvotav v'ratza banu v'shabbat kadsho yavo ratzon inchilanu zikaron lemaseh v'reshit ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim Kibanu acharta Yotanu kidashto Ni'olamim V'shabbat kadshecha Yavahu ratzon inkatanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh Hashabbat. Amen. L'chaim. Good Shabbos. Shabbat shalom to everyone. Shabbat shalom. Thank you very, very much.